I can't mimic voices for love or money. I'm completely hopeless at it. I was a really bad actor at school, and
In a stunning development that has sent shockwaves through Buckingham Palace, Tom Parker Bowles, son of Queen Camilla, has been sentenced in a case cloaked in unprecedented secrecy. The ruling, delivered behind closed doors and mysteriously absent from public court records, has resulted in his immediate removal from public life. Palace officials have imposed an extraordinary information blackout, but our sources have uncovered the disturbing reality behind his sudden disappearance. What could the Queen's son have done to warrant such severe consequences? And why has the royal family gone to extreme lengths to keep it hidden? Stay tuned, because this revelation will forever change how you view the British monarchy. The Secret Tribunal. On what appeared to be an ordinary Tuesday morning, Tom Parker Bowles arrived at a nondescript government building in London's diplomatic quarter. Unlike the high-profile court appearances of celebrities or politicians, there were no press photographers, no waiting crowds, just an unmarked entrance guarded by individuals who carried no visible identification, but moved with unmistakable military precision. Dressed in a conservative gray suit with no distinctive features, Tom was escorted through a private entrance and vanished from public view. A food critic and author who had carefully balanced his royal connections with an independent career, his expression betrayed no emotion as the doors closed behind him. Inside awaited what one source described as a tribunal rather than a court. The small windowless room contained only essential personnel. A panel of 3 judges with specialized security clearance, legal representatives who identified themselves only by last name, and a defense team that our sources claim had been appointed rather than selected by Tom himself. This wasn't a legal proceeding as the public would understand it, revealed a source with connections to diplomatic security protocols. This was risk containment operating under the thinnest veneer of judicial process. The charges, while never formally announced, allegedly centered around unauthorized communications with foreign entities, specifically, individuals connected to both international media organizations and foreign intelligence services. According to our sources, Tom had been under surveillance for months after certain patterns of communication raised red flags within royal security circles. It began with his legitimate food writing contacts, explained a former colleague who requested anonymity. But somewhere along the line, he began exchanging information that went far beyond culinary matters. Information about palace operations, security protocols, and most damaging of all, private communications between senior royals regarding matters of state. What made this case particularly sensitive was the nature of the information involved. Unlike typical royal scandals centered around personal indiscretions, the material Tom allegedly shared touched on the monarchy's relationship with government, the constitutional gray area where royal influence intersects with political power. During the 7-hour proceeding, Tom reportedly maintained the composed demeanor that had characterized his public life. He spoke only when directly addressed by the tribunal, neither confirming nor denying specific allegations. Those present described his bearing as resigned rather than defiant, the demeanor of someone who understood the institutional machinery he faced. The ruling, when delivered late that afternoon, was extraordinary in both scope and severity. While not termed imprisonment in any conventional sense, the sentence mandated Tom's immediate sequestration at an undisclosed location, with no access to communication devices, publication platforms, or unapproved visitors. The official terminology, protective isolation for reasons of national security, barely concealed the reality: permanent removal from public life. As Tom was escorted from the room through a secure exit, he reportedly made a single statement to the senior security official overseeing the operation. "Tell my mother I understand the necessity." This phrase, cryptic to those unfamiliar with royal dynamics, has been interpreted by insiders as acknowledgement of the monarchy's ultimate priority: institutional survival above individual interests, even when family is involved. Within hours, he had been transported from London via military aircraft, his destination known only to a handful of officials with the highest security clearances. The containment operation. The palace's official statement, released the following morning, made no reference to any proceedings. It simply announced that Tom Parker Bowles would be stepping back from public duties indefinitely to address private health matters and requested privacy. The brevity and vagueness only intensified speculation among royal observers. Behind the scenes, an elaborate operation was already underway, not just to manage Tom's physical removal, but to systematically erase evidence of his activities. Teams with specialized training in digital forensics simultaneously accessed his London apartment, office, and country home. Computers were seized, mobile devices confiscated, and physical documents removed. But the operation extended far beyond simple evidence gathering. This wasn't just about collecting materials, revealed a source with knowledge of security protocols. This was about eliminating all digital footprints, scrubbing communication records, and creating an alternative narrative about his absence that could withstand public scrutiny. Most telling was the treatment of his professional workspace. According to witnesses, the office where Tom wrote his food columns and books was not simply searched, but methodically dismantled. Digital storage devices were removed. Reference materials were cataloged and transported to secure facilities. Even seemingly innocuous items like notebooks and appointment calendars were treated as sensitive materials requiring special handling. The thoroughness suggested not just concern about what he might have already shared, but fear about what channels of communication he might have established that remained undiscovered. There was serious concern about dead drops, scheduled information releases, or material already positioned with publishers overseas, explained a former intelligence officer familiar with such operations. When someone with his connections commits to sharing sensitive information, the ripple effects can continue long after they've been contained. This fear drove the next phase of the operation, identifying and neutralizing potential associates. Editors who had worked with Tom found themselves subject to unusual scrutiny. Publishers reported subtle pressure to delay or cancel projects involving him. The pattern revealed a coordinated effort to isolate anyone who might have served as his conduit to the wider world. Digital traces began disappearing as well. His social media accounts were either suspended or suddenly managed with notably different content and tone. Archives of television appearances where he had discussed royal connections became mysteriously unavailable on streaming platforms. Even photographs in which he appeared at royal-adjacent events were quietly removed from official sources and media libraries. Most concerning to those tracking the situation was the treatment of his published work. His most recent food columns disappeared from publication archives. Bookstores reported receiving requests to return unsold copies of his latest cookbook for a corrected edition that never arrived. The systematic removal of his professional output suggested concerns that extended beyond personal indiscretion to something embedded in his public work. The concern wasn't just what he knew, but how he might have encoded that knowledge in his published writing, suggested a literary analyst who had studied similar cases of writers under government scrutiny in other countries. Food writing provides remarkable cover for transmitting information through seemingly innocent references. Ingredients can be code names. Preparation techniques can signify methods of operation. Restaurant locations can indicate meeting points. The royal family fractures. Behind palace walls, Tom's sentence reportedly created the most significant family crisis since Prince Andrew's fall from grace. Queen Camilla, caught between maternal instinct and institutional duty, was described by insiders as outwardly stoic, but inwardly devastated. According to sources familiar with palace operations, she was informed of the action against her son only hours before it occurred, presented not as a request for her approval, but as a security necessity already in motion. Camilla was effectively told, rather than consulted, said one palace source. This wasn't a mother being asked about her son's fate. This was a queen being briefed on an operation affecting the monarchy's security. King Charles, meanwhile, allegedly maintained a more detached position. Sources suggest he viewed Tom's actions through an institutional lens rather than a personal one, as a security breach requiring containment rather than a family matter requiring compassion. This perspective has reportedly created tension in the royal marriage, with moments of strained silence replacing their usually warm rapport. The king sees monarchy as his life's purpose, explained a longtime royal advisor. Threats to its stability override personal considerations, even when family is involved. Camilla hasn't yet developed that institutional callousness that royal life eventually demands. Prince William has reportedly supported the action, viewing it as regrettable but necessary for protecting the monarchy's future. According to palace insiders, he was among those briefed on specific communications intercepted from Tom and recognized their potential to undermine public confidence in royal neutrality on political matters, a cornerstone of the modern monarchy's survival. Most surprisingly, Princess Anne, known for her dedication to duty and protocol, has allegedly questioned the handling of the situation. Sources claim she has expressed concern about the precedent of removing a royal-adjacent figure through extrajudicial means, suggesting that, once we operate outside the law, we undermine the very system we claim to uphold. For Tom's sister, Laura Lopes, the situation has allegedly triggered profound distress. Unlike her brother, Laura has maintained an intensely private life despite her royal connections. Sources close to her family report that she has made repeated requests to contact her brother, all of which have been denied citing security protocols. Laura is essentially being told that any attempt to reach her brother could implicate her as well, revealed one source. It's a cruel but effective method of ensuring family compliance, the implicit threat that concern could be interpreted as complicity. For Queen Camilla herself, the situation has created an impossible position. Sources describe a woman torn between institutional obligation and maternal anguish, permitted no direct communication with her son since the sentencing. All information about his welfare and circumstances comes through official briefings provided by the same security apparatus that engineered his removal. In public, she performs flawlessly, noted one senior household member. In private, the strain shows in small ways. Moments of distraction, unusual irritability, the occasional canceled engagement citing mild indisposition. She's grieving while having to pretend nothing significant has happened. The most poignant detail, according to those with access to the Queen's private quarters, is that she now keeps a small photograph of Tom as a child, hidden in her personal desk drawer. A silent acknowledgement of loss she cannot publicly express.
You've been on his private plane.
Yes.
You've been to stay on his private island.
Yes.
Chaos erupts within the British royal family as Prince Andrew, Prince William, and Prince Harry unite in an unprecedented legal showdown against King Charles. At the heart of this explosive feud lies a mysterious, long-hidden letter from Princess Diana, containing secrets that could shake the monarchy to its core. With the Supreme Court now involved, the battle threatens to expose untold truths and redefine the future of the British crown forever. King Charles, the monarch and the father. King Charles has spent nearly his entire life in the public eye, first as the Prince of Wales and now as the reigning monarch. But for all the royal engagements and ceremonial duties he's juggled, another big challenge has always been his role as a father. Charles's relationship with Prince William and Prince Harry has been shaped by tradition, public expectations, and the pressures of being next in line to the throne for so many years. As a father, Charles has sometimes been described as distant, though some insiders insist he tried his best, given the unusual environment his sons were raised in. Both William and Harry spent their childhoods under constant media attention, making a normal family life nearly impossible. As they got older, Charles needed to prepare William to one day inherit the crown, which meant possibly spending more time with William on future plans or official training. Harry, meanwhile, has pointed out in interviews and in his memoir, Spare, that he often felt like he came second to royal duty. This kind of criticism gives a glimpse into how hard it must have been for Charles to juggle fatherhood and duty. It's not just Charles as a dad that draws attention. He's also a brother. While there were always whispers about a certain rivalry between him and Prince Andrew, nothing was ever openly confirmed. In their younger years, Andrew seemed to relish a more carefree lifestyle, while Charles was tied to the idea that someday he would be king. Today, as monarch, Charles has had to deal with Andrew's controversies head-on. He's made decisions, such as limiting Andrew's involvement in public events, that reflect a need to protect the royal family's reputation. These moves can seem harsh, but they also reveal the heavy weight Charles now carries as the figurehead. When it comes to leadership, Charles's approach seems to mix tradition with a cautious openness to change. On the one hand, he's recognized for championing environmental causes for decades, long before it became mainstream. On the other, when it comes to family matters, he often seems to retain an old-fashioned reserve. While he might prefer to keep personal issues private, the modern media landscape has made that nearly impossible. People want to know how he really feels about Harry relocating to another country, or Andrew stepping away from public life in disgrace. Still, being king demands that Charles think about the monarchy's future above all else, which can conflict with personal connections. He must put the institution first, a dilemma that can strain his relationships. William appears cooperative, probably because he's aware he'll inherit that same responsibility. Harry's decision to walk away suggests he felt too constrained by it. Meanwhile, Andrew's troubles have forced Charles to act decisively to uphold public respect for the crown. Prince Andrew, the disgraced royal prince,